I don't think I've ever been at a conference that hits all the topics that are so relevant to what I do.
Sometimes when you do this work and it's so important and it's also so heavy, you tend to feel isolated and don't realize that there are so many people who are struggling to overcome the same challenges that you do and care about what's happening to victims and survivors.
Victim advocates, nurses, doctors, judges, lawyers. It's really a great multidisciplinary collection of people, and we're all working and learning and training together.
You see all ages, all backgrounds. I just think it's that true desire to improve and do better for the women who are experiencing these things.
Originally, when I came, I was moved into managing programs and really directing all that activity and wanted to get a bigger picture of what was going on, not only in our state and the United States, but internationally, because CCAW brings together all those pieces.
My supervisor brought me to Crimes Against Women. I mean, it had to have been like 2006, 2007. And I remember walking out of the keynote speech and going, oh, I get it. Because of the curiosity and the foundation that CCAW had given me to go back to my own community and implement the things I learned, it also taught me to be creative in my solutions.
Law enforcement isn't going to arrest our way out of this issue. It takes a multidisciplinary approach. And what I've found is when we are able to take multidisciplinary teams to the Crimes Against Women conference, it really motivates folks. And not only are you getting a wealth of great information, it's just motivating to see others that are not only committed, but are motivated to address this issue.
Back in 2012, my very first conference I ever came to was Crimes Against Women. It really helped put the bigger picture together for me so that I could understand how my small role and how everybody else's roles kind of connected.
I think that sometimes working in the field of domestic violence can feel like a silo, especially for the therapist or the counselor or the advocate that's sitting in the office with the client. You're the only one there to provide that support. And so then coming into the conference and all of a sudden you see thousands of people who are in that fight for you. I think that does drive up that passion, like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one.
Can you imagine what the next 3.5 days are going to be?
Genesis Women's Shelter has been around for 40 years, and our leader, Jane Langbine, one of the leading thought leaders in our country when it comes to domestic violence, family violence. 20 years ago, that light bulb moment went off, and we need a conference that, again, focuses not just on domestic violence, but focuses on domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault, all crimes against women.
I've been here 34 years as CEO, and I remember at the beginning, I had no knowledge of this. I'm not from abuse, and I thought, well, I can go to the library and look it up, or I can go to a conference and hear what it is I'm supposed to be doing. But I would go to a conference where they'd say, domestic violence, it's really bad. And then I'd go to another one, it would say sexual assault, well, that's really bad. Strangulation is bad, and human trafficking is bad. But nowhere could I find a conference that, number one, wrapped it all up together, but number two, looked at solutions. And I'm kind of a lead follower, just get the hell out of my way kind of girl. And so I said, well, if nobody else is going to do it, we're going to do it. And so it came out of necessity is the way I look at it.
The really significant part of this whole Crimes Against Women conference is the partnership between Dallas Police Department and Genesis House.
So let's roll the clock back. We had it at a downtown hotel. We had 400 people registered, but by the next year it was 800 people.
I came and I gave my crazy love talk and went to the conference, and I just completely fell in love. Because the people here at CCAW are experts in what they do. They're also committed to ending violence against women.
In 2004, I started talking about trauma-informed investigations, trauma-informed interviews, and now that's kind of a general word.
I came to the conference 10 years ago because I wanted to learn more. I was doing a lot of homicides, and I didn't understand what was happening before the homicides. And this conference just completely opened my eyes up to intimate partner issues and sex trafficking issues and a whole host of things I never even knew was happening.
When we first started out the conference, we were really, really focused on law enforcement, prosecutors, advocates. That's our traditional kind of coordinated community response team. Realizing how these crimes are committed, that systemic response becomes more and more important.
The Conference on Crimes Against Women, up until probably the Me Too movement, they had already started to kind of like cultivate the ground on getting people to think about not just the violence or the crimes itself, but also the trauma that comes with it, the victimization, the post-violence that happens.
What makes me so happy is what I know is the rippling effect of that conference. And for survivors all over the country and those who did not survive, there is recognizing the abuse, but also holding accountable perpetrators of this.
There's a greater awareness in the issue that surrounds violence against women. And the Conference on Crimes Against Women is up to the challenge and is willing to take the risk and to have the hard conversations and shine light where it needs to be.
I see it evolve. I mean, just as society evolves, as crime evolves, the conference evolves to meet those needs. And they do that by having this advisory council that's all made up of experts in their field.
15 years ago, we didn't talk about offender accountability, and now that's huge. 15 years ago, we sort of talked about human trafficking, and now that's probably half of our workshops. We have a computer lab now, hands-on, step-by-step of how to navigate the dark web or how to request a search warrant from Facebook.
One of the most valuable things that comes out of this conference is the relationships that are created and the increased understanding of each agency's role in addressing crimes of violence against women. And where we see the best response to crimes against violence is where they're working in a collaborative, sort of multidisciplinary team.
I really think that this conference is two things. It's about systems change, and it's about helping every single practitioner in their work to do a better job. So it helps us individually and brings us together because we have to work these cases together.
It changes and it grows and it evolves over the years. And the other part is you stay connected all year. I don't know any of my complex cases where I haven't picked up the phone or now gotten on Zoom with 4 or 5 different people from CCAW.
What's always been there has been the desire of advocates and police and prosecutors and judges to look for the next level of expertise, the next level of service.
I know it's people who see the world the way that I see it and see violence against women the way that I see it, that it's wrong. Victims need to be believed and defended and taken care of, and that justice needs to be achieved. 20 years is a great milestone, but we just have to keep doing this because we have barely scratched the surface.
As long as there is violence against women, the hope is that CCAW will continue to be committed to and continue to have partnerships with people who are really looking for how do we stop this in its tracks.
My hope is that we continue to grow and expand and start that ripple in communities further out.
Every person at the Conference on Crimes Against Women not only has an opportunity, but in my book, an obligation to make a difference. It may start today, but it doesn't stop on Thursday. This is the time where we all stand up and we say, I have zero tolerance for violence against women.
Take that critical training, hold to your values. Any change you make will make such a difference to individual victims, survivors, and their families, and to the community as a whole.